In a world where your coffee's taste is important, as well as how it looks is also important for your kitchen, we've actually found a machine so compact and so unassuming, yet capable of brewing a single espresso, and it's called the Phillips Baristina. And this is just me taking it out of the box because it's so simple that there's not a lot to show you in terms of components. This is the plastic portafilter, and this is going to be the actual unit. And the Baristina is crafted for those who crave simplicity of a capsule machine like a Nespresso or a Keurig, yet yearn for the richness of freshly ground beans, because the Baristina will grind those beans. It's not a complicated procedure at all. There's no barista needed. You really just press one button and the magic will happen. And this is going to be the portafilter, and that's a used puck inside. And on that portafilter, there's a button. Well, they actually eject the puck for you. And these are going to be the buttons. You just got three. You got the espresso intensity and you got Lungo. In terms of its overall design, I will admit the Baristina's design is sharp, modern, and undeniably stylish. But like all great inventions, it does have some quirks. The portafilter, though functional, feels very light, perhaps too light, hinting at an extensive use of plastic within. And though the drip tray and the lid are dishwasher safe, the machine's washable and overall durability remains a question mark to me. The water tank on the back does not lock in, so it's prone to being knocked over. And if you just take a look at the plastic, there's not a lot of pieces you can actually open up, but it feels like that you can open it up if you know what I mean. Because of how difficult it is to clean inside the grinder, there's no real way to do it. They do say do not use caramelized or flavored coffee beans with the Baristina. You should only be using mugs or cups that are shorter than 5.4 inches, otherwise it will not fit underneath the Baristina, and that's going to be a problem. The Baristina does come with the ability to adjust the intensity. They call it intensity boost. So the boost function allows you to brew a more intense espresso or lungo. You just have to press it after you press the size cup you want. In terms of how much water it uses, for espresso, it uses 40 milliliters, and for lungo, it uses 110 milliliters. There is also a preset descaling procedure. All you need to do is hold down the buttons and just follow the instructions. Now let me walk you through the 40-second process of making an espresso with this machine. But like all machines, make sure to listen for the noise, because I want you to hear how loud it is, because they promise you that the noise levels are better with the Baristina than other similar coffee makers. So it does produce a raspy sound, and that's a reminder that it is ultimately an automatic machine. And the drip, however gentle, familiar, is that of a semi-automatic or capsule machine. And this is going to be that espresso that we just brewed. Now, if you want to clean it up, take that plastic handle that feels hollow and take the rest of that portafilter to the garbage. You can eject the puck just pressing a button on the back of the portafilter, and then you could just take it to your sink and rinse it. The portafilter does make a squishy sound when you get it wet, and that's because there is a little bit of there must be an air cushion or some type of spring where the button is used to eject the puck. Now we want to make a larger cup, so we're just going to hit the double. Then we have to grind beans, so we want extra beans grinded, so we want to make it stronger. We're just going to place it in. It'll automatically shifts it all the way back. let's see what came out. This is going to be our double here. Yum. 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 Super hot. The temperature is burning, scalding hot actually. So super hot, the temperature is hot. It's actually going to burn your mouth if you're not careful with it in the first initial seconds of brewing. And it's rich, it's dark, and it's flavorful. But no review of the Phillips Baristina can be complete unless I compare it to the Nespresso Vertuo, and I'm going to compare it to my Nespresso Vertuo Lattissima, one of the more premium units from Nespresso, but honestly, it brews the same flavored pods, Vertuo pods, just like the other Nespresso Vertuo systems like the Next or the Pro. So here they are side by side. They look just about the same size. So we're going to run a quick test between the Nespresso Vertuo capsules and the Phillips Baristina. And in that test for our Nespresso, we're going to be using the Nespresso Double Espresso Chiaro. And this is going to be the double espresso size, and it's going to brew a 80 milliliter cup. As you can see here, 2.7 fluid ounces, and the strength is going to be level 8. That means for the Baristina, we also want to brew a double espresso, but we're going to make it stronger by pressing the brew strength button for the intensity. This is going to be the Chiaro pod we're using from the Nespresso. It is going to brew that 2.7 fluid ounces, and it's going to brew a very crema-based version where it's going to look good, it's going to taste good, and it's going to brew it within about 50 seconds. Now, we want to time it in terms of which one is going to brew faster, because in our opinion, the Baristina is very similar to a Nespresso capsule, but the Vertuo should have more crema. So let's see, based on the pressure as well as the grinds, which one is going to be producing a better double espresso here. So first things first, for our Nespresso, I just need to insert our pod in. So we're going to unlock our system. It's going to remove the old pod that you see here. So we've increased the brew intensity on our Baristina. So we have it on intense as well as double. And we just have the pod because the Nespresso will just know what to brew based on the pod itself. So we're going to close them. That is the Lattissima. That is the more fancy of the Nespresso units. And let's get to it. This is going to be the grind size that you're going to be getting with your Phillips. And I can't stress this enough that grind size really matters in terms of the flavor and the quality of your espresso. In particular, anything that uses a lot of pressure, like you get with the 19 bars of pressure with your Phillips here, it's going to affect how quickly the water flows through those specific grounds that you see here, and therefore it's going to affect its overall extraction. And that means it's going to really impact the flavor you get from your Phillips. So I wish they would have dialed this in a little bit finer, because at least for my water and for the beans that I use, it's not perfect. And a simple fix of that would be if they had allowed us to adjust the grind size manually on the Phillips, but since we don't have that option, it just comes with one grind size. You're kind of left trying to figure out which bean is best for the machine instead of being able to use any bean for your Phillips. Here I have my portafilter. I'm just going to insert it. We're also going to move it to the side here. Once we have our settings set, so we're going to press it on double, we're going to press it on intense. We're also going to unlock our Nespresso. We're going to be opening it up. And we're going to be using a Chiaro pod. This is going to be brewing a 2.7 ounce pod. Lock it up. Close it. A Nespresso pod, a lot of people will use it twice. But remember, the second batch is not going to be as intense in terms of flavor as the first cup. So now that we have our settings, we just have to press the button. We're also going to see which one brews a better espresso. 1, 2, 3. And voila, both are finished. They basically both finish at the same amount of time. I say that the Nespresso took a little bit longer, maybe 3 or 4 seconds longer. It's important to note that the Nespresso is actually making a double espresso, which is different from a long. More water flows through the coffee, so it's not as strong as a double espresso. It's really stretching out that espresso to make it last longer. You can even run it twice for a cup of Americano, but I do not recommend that because in my opinion, you're really well served here when you're making a single espresso, but if you're making it a lungo, even with more intensity and you press the button, it's just not that intense. It's not as bold, is not as rich, especially even if you compare it to a Nespresso Vertuo pod here. So if you want to check which cups are going to be best for your Baristina, let's just go through some glasses here. This is going to be on an espresso glass. You can see that it fits because that's just about 95 millimeters of space in terms of height. Then we're going to take a larger Lungo glass, and that's going to be for a double espresso, and you can see that the double espresso glass fits as well. But at this point, you will not be able to fit any standard mugs, at least in our opinion, unless you get a small low height mug. So this is just a standard mug that you would get at any shop. It's not going to fit because it's too tall. We have to take out our little catch there, and then you can insert your mug and let it brew without a flat top here. Then if you want to see truly and compare this to something you might own. And finally, this is going to be on a Bali mason jar. And you can see there's not a lot of space between the portafilter as well as the glass. So make sure that you're not using glasses that are too small or too big for your Baristina. And that's going to also be in contrast to what you would do on the Nespresso. The Nespresso will come with a adjustable height tray. That's the same thing for your Keurigs. But on your Baristina, because this is automatic, they actually just give you a removable, washable, dishwasher safe, kind of like a water tank or water waste bin. Next, let's check the temperature for our machines. This is going to be a temperature sensor. We have it on both sides. We're going to measure the temperature, at least the brew temperature for the Baristina as well as the Nespresso. Check the temperature of your Phillips as well as your Nespresso. Phillips, the coffee does come out very hot. Right now it's been about 25 seconds since we brewed it. It is currently at close to about 150 degrees, while your Nespresso is going to be about 144. So they brew both basically at the same temperature. So they're going to be coming out close to about 160 degrees, 170 degrees, and then if you let it cool down, it's going to be about 145, 147, 149 degrees after about 1 to 2 minutes. Another key note is that because your Baristina is not that heavy and it doesn't have very sticky grip pads on the bottom, you might have to press down on your Baristina every time you move it over. Otherwise, when you try to move over the portafilter, it could just shift the entire unit. Another key important thing to realize is that when you clean out your portafilter, and that's going to be the remaining puck after a double, you can use just use the button on the back here. So if you use the button on the back and use that little button, it will just push out the puck so that you don't need to, and it'll come out just like that. Then you just have to wash it, and that's super easy. The secret of either one will be on the freshness of your beans, but if you're trying to figure out the efficiency of your machine, you'll notice that the Nespresso crema is going to be more rich, as well as having smaller bubbles, indicating a more efficient brewing process than what you get with the Baristina. And I think with the Baristina, it really comes down to the grind size. So the Baristina's grind size is not going to be as dialed in as you would hope. And that's because all of these grinds have to be the same standard size. You can't adjust them, which means depending on the bean, it might not grind it perfectly, at least depending on what you're brewing. The other thing about the flavor is that the Nespresso will have a more rich flavor, in my opinion, than the Baristina. And again, that's because if you're trying to find a good espresso, well, the Baristina can help you. But if you're trying to find something elite, well, I think the Nespresso Vertuo capsule are going to taste better. One of the key catches here is that the Baristina will save you money in the long run because it is cheaper just to add in your grounded beans and just brew this every morning just by moving the portafilter to the right and letting it lock back into place than to have to keep rebuying a Nespresso pod. And that's because if you see these Nespresso pods that I buy, These 10 packs, they cost you about $14 to $15 each. So you're getting an espresso pod if you're buying it in the bulk size for about $1 or $2 per pod, versus the Baristina, where your unit cost will probably be, depending on your beans, maybe even 35 cents, 40 cents, which is a lot cheaper than what you get with the Nespresso Vertuo pod. What I found very interesting with the Phillips Baristina is that you can see where the technology is going. They're going towards more automation. They're literally trying to make it easier for you to have that espresso at home, but also inside of a more beautiful kitchen shell. Because the looks of this machine is really nice. It pairs well with a lot of different kitchen colorways and setups, but it comes down to ease of use. I drank this espresso in the morning every day for 2 weeks, and I think it's really easy to do because all you need to do is press the button. It takes all of 1 minute to brew yourself a single serve espresso. And I'm not a big fan of the Lungo, but if you want to have a more watery espresso, well then go for it. The Baristina is trying to present you with the option if you don't want to go with capsules. If you want to go with a unit that is as easy to use and has a similar flavor to some of the more high quality capsule systems like a Nespresso. The biggest weakness for the Baristina from Philips is going to be its overall build quality. It is pretty much 100% plastic, so that means it's very light, and even though it has good looks, I did notice some irregular gaps from the manufacturing process. It's also going to give you similar coffee that you would get at your local Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, but it's not going to give you the high quality that you might get from a very experienced barista. The true difference will lie in how much money it will save you if you are drinking a Starbucks espresso every day, because at Starbucks an espresso will cost you $3. If you're making that same espresso using similar beans on your Baristina, it will probably cost you close to 40 or 50 cents. So if the Baristina is saving you $10 a week, it will probably take you close to a year to recoup the cost of getting it. But now you can make that same espresso in the comfort of your home without having to have any skills. And that's the secret of this Baristina. You need absolutely no skills to make yourself an espresso. It doesn't matter if you dialed it in. All you do is just get some fresh beans and it's going to make you a decent espresso. If you want more customization, you can always get a DeLonghi or a Breville Express. Just spend a little bit more money. On those machines, you can decide how fine or coarse you want the grinds to be. You can also describe or change the pressure, and you can froth the milk. Ultimately, I am happy that Philips has made the Baristina because it works as a espresso single shot maker, but the price is prohibitive because I do find that it asks a lot in terms of the cost for what you get here. If you have to choose, I would go with a Nespresso Vertuo pod or a capsule system if you want the best of the best. But if you have to get a machine that can make you an espresso very quickly and you just want to press a single button, I don't think you could do better than the Philips Baristina. So with that, thanks for watching everybody. This is David with the French Glow. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment box below. We will get back to you. And please hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help support our channel. And I'll catch you next time. This is David again. We'll see you soon. Bye, bye, bye.